and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are introducing our new set, Sweetest flavor, its coordinating dies, and its add-on dies. And this set is so cool because it helps you make these really fun reveal wheel interactive cards where they spin and change color, and they're just an absolute blast to make. Sweetest Flavor is a super fun mini set, but its add-on die makes it really cool because it can work with the reveal wheel. So this is the reveal wheel, and you have to check out the intro to reveal wheel video to kind of see a ton of ideas with this. But then this is how Sweetest Flavor kind of changes the reveal wheel into something a little different. So first up, we're going to check out the Sweetest Flavor stamp set, and there's a really awesome ice cream cone, a cherry, a heart, we have two different faces, and we also have some rosy cheeks that you can add to those faces. And then a really fun sentiment. We have, of all the flavors, you're the sweetest. We also have a little exclamation point that you can add to the ends of your phrases. Now I'm using my Copic markers to add some color to these fun images, and you'll see the one on the left we're going to use the coordinating die with, and so I'm going to color in that ice cream. And then the one on the right we're going to use the reveal wheel add-on, so we're going to leave the ice cream on top just blank. So there I'll add some fun strawberry ice cream. I love that you can really just have a blast with what colors the ice cream are, and you can kind of coordinate them to your project. And then here are those coordinating dies, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. And then these are the add-on dies that makes the ice cream cone kind of into like a little frame. So we're going to take our dies and line them up with our stamped images, and the coordinating die works just like a coordinating die, and the add-on die works the same way too. So we're just going to line that up, we're going to hold it in place with some low-tack tape, run it through our die cut machine, and we'll have a cute little ice cream cone, and then an ice cream cone little frame there as well. And then here you can see all of those images cut out. I love how you can put the cherry on top of the ice cream, and you can even add the little heart on top too, which is super cute. So now it's time to make our first card. So I'm going to take the base piece of the reveal wheel and we're going to die cut that from some white cardstock. Then we're going to use the puzzle piece part of the reveal wheel, and we're going to drop in our ice cream puzzle piece, and we're going to hold that in place with some washi tape, and then we can run that through our die cut machine, and now we're going to have a piece for the top of the reveal wheel that's going to have the little opening shaped in the ice cream. And we're also going to die cut the main wheel piece and the smaller wheel base too. I've got a little brad there, and I'm going to put that through my smaller base piece, and then we're going to put that through the main wheel. We're going to close those prongs to attach those two pieces together, and then I'm going to flip it over and add some little foam squares surrounding that brad, and I'm going to peel off the liner tape as well. Now this is the die that cuts our main wheel piece, and you'll see that there's some embossed lines there, and those are our guides to help us line up our wheel with our opening. So we're going to line that wheel up, we're going to look at our embossed lines, we're going to look through the opening there and shift it up so we don't see the embossed lines anymore, and then we're going to look at the side notch and we're going to shift it in so we no longer see the embossed lines. Now the embossed lines are really easy to see in person, but they're a little hard to see on camera. So we took a black pen and we just traced those embossed lines so it would be nice and easy for you guys to see. There you can see at the ice cream, we're going to shift that embossed line up so we can't see it anymore. And at the notch, we're going to shift it in so we can't see it anymore. Then we can take our whole thing and attach it to our base piece. So I'm just going to line it up carefully and attach it on there. Now I'm going to pop my wheel off and we're going to decorate it. So there are a few ways to add color to this wheel, and our first way that we're going to use is pattern paper. So I have my Let's Polka in the Meadow paper and my Really Rainbow paper out, and I'm just picking some colors that I think it would be fun for the ice cream to be. And then I'm going to die cut a main wheel from all of those different colors of pattern paper. Once I have all four of my colors, I'm going to start to quarter these because I want my ice cream flavor to change every quarter turn of the wheel. So I'm just putting it in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut them in half and then cut them in half again so that I get 4 pieces of each color. The cool thing about this is you only need 1 piece of each color to make a card, so by doing this you have enough pieces to create 4 reveal wheels. So I'm going to save all my little extra pieces and make more cards later on. So now I'm just going to go through and make sure that I trim all of my pieces, and then it's time to start working on creating the actual wheel piece. So what I'm going to do is just pick one of each color, I'll add some adhesive to the back, and then I'm just going to line them right up on my wheel. And then I'm going to repeat this with the remaining colors. And this is a really, really easy way to add color to the wheel. It goes by super, super fast, and I love that you can make 4 wheels all at once. So now that I have my wheel done, I'm going to do any stamping that I need to do on the front before I put this whole thing together. So I'm going to be stamping my sentiments. I'm going to stamp of all the flavors, you're the sweetest, and it's going to kind of surround that ice cream cone. So I'm going to use my MISTI to help me place everything, and then I'm going to stamp that right onto the card front. Then I'm going to add a little glue to the back of that little ice cream frame that we cut earlier, and then layer that onto the front of the card. Once I have that done, I can take my colorful wheel and just pop it back in place since we already placed our wheel base earlier. So I'm just going to pop that on the brad, close that brad. I'm going to add a bunch of foam squares onto my base piece and then layer my frame piece right on top. And now you can see that those ice cream flavors are already changing color. Now next up, I'm going to take my smallest stitch rectangle there and I'm going to die cut some white cardstock. And I'm going to stamp the word Sweetest in some Versamark ink and then layer on some white heat embossing powder and heat that up with my heat tool so that I have a really nice bright white sentiment on some black cardstock. I'm also looking through my really rainbow pack and I'm going to pick a piece of paper here with this nice rainbow stripe that's going to kind of coordinate with all of those ice cream flavors that I picked earlier. I've die cut that with the reveal wheel main base, then trimmed it down, and then I'm just going to layer it there right on the bottom for some really fun color, and then add that little sweetest piece there with some foam adhesive. Now for the back of my piece, I thought it'd be really fun to use this gradient rainbow to kind of go along with the whole changing flavors idea. So I'm creating a card base that's 5.5 by 4.25 inches, and then I'm going to add some adhesive to that awesome rainbow gradient piece and layer that right on top. Then I'm going to add a bunch of foam squares to my reveal wheel piece and layer that onto the card base. And I just love how bright and happy this is. Now the little reveal wheel die has this little arrow that you can die cut, and I die cut that out of some black cardstock so that the recipient would kind of know that there's something that they're supposed to do. And then how fun is that? I could look at this all day. Oh my goodness, I love how it's changing not only color but also pattern between the stripes and the plaids and the polka dots. It's just so much fun. So now I thought it'd be fun to create a reveal wheel that has kind of the color changing and more of like this rainbow watercolor wash. So we're going to die cut the base piece from white cardstock again, and then we're going to drop in our little ice cream puzzle piece into the reveal wheel. We'll hold that in place with some low tack tape, and then we'll run it through our die cut machine, and then we'll have our front that's going to have the ice cream shaped opening to it. Now I want to make sure that I do all of my stamping first. So I'm using some manatee ink here, and I'm going to be kind of creating my own pattern paper in the background. So I'm going to be stamping the ice cream and the cherry and little smiles and little rosy cheeks all over the front of this card. Now the first card that I made was inspired by a gorgeous card by Kay, and this card is inspired by a beautiful card by Nicole. So thank you so much, Kay and Nicole, for letting me recreate your beautiful cards in the video. So there I'm adding my little cherries, and then I'm going to add my cute little smiley faces. And then my favorite part, we're going to add the little rosy cheeks with some Ballet Slippers ink, which is a really nice soft pink. Once everything is all decorated, I can start to form my interactive part of my card. So I've got my main wheel and my wheel base and my brad. And so I'm going to take my brad and put it through the little wheel base and then through the main wheel. And then we're going to open those prongs, securing those two pieces together. I'm going to turn it over and add some foam squares to the back, kind of surrounding the brad, and then we'll peel off any of that liner tape. Then we can go ahead and take the wheel, and we're going to use those embossed lines as a guide. We're going to look through our opening and make sure we can't see the embossed line anymore, and then look in the notch and make sure we can't see the embossed line there either. So we're going to shift that in, and once it's in the perfect placement, we can take the whole piece and line it up to our base, press down, and attach that wheel base to the base of the card. Now it's time to decorate this wheel. And like I was talking about earlier, I kind of wanted it to be this like rainbow gradient that was going to go through the ice cream. So I've got some water and a paintbrush here and some watercolors, and we're going to kind of create this flowing rainbow. Now you could use distress inks here to create your watercolor too, or even ink blend on it. I just love the idea of this kind of continuous gradient rainbow. I'm using my heat tool to dry it because I could not wait for it to dry. I had to see what it was going to look like. So I'm heating it up with the heat tool so that I can finally add it onto my base. So I'm going to pop that right onto the base and then just close those prongs there so that it's nice and secure. And then I've taken another little ice cream cone frame and die cut that with my add-on die. And then I'm just going to add some glue to that and then layer it over the opening. I've added a bunch of foam tape surrounding the wheel but not touching the wheel. And then I'm going to layer on my card front on top. And it's looking so cool already. I'm so excited. Okay, so here I have some paper bag cardstock, and I'm going to stamp with my Versamark ink on there. And then I'm going to use my white heat embossing powder, and I'm just going to layer that onto those. And then we can go ahead and heat emboss it so that we have a nice shiny bright sentiment on this paper bag cardstock. And I thought it would be fun to use the paper bag cardstock because it kind of reminds me of an ice cream cone. So I thought it would kind of coordinate with everything. Now that they're all heat embossed, I'm just going to take my paper trimmer and trim these all down so that there's kind of like a nice little border around all of the words. And then that way we can layer this sentiment on top of our card. So I'm just going to take some foam tape and layer that onto each piece and then just drop those right on. And I really love just how everything is looking. It's so happy and fun, and I love creating my own pattern paper like that. I hadn't done that in a long time, and it's really just such a blast. So here I have some peacock cardstock, and I'm creating a card base that's 5¼ by 4. And then I'll add some foam tape to the back of my whole reveal wheel mechanism and then layer that right onto the card base. I'm going to use the little arrow die in there, and you'll see I cut a bunch of different colors because I wasn't sure what color, but I ended up kind of settling on some narwhal cardstock there. And now you can see how fun is that. I love how it goes with the sentiment. The colors are just so pretty. I could just look at this all day. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to send this to someone. So clearly I am having way too much fun making these cards, so I had to make one more, and I thought this time we would work with some stamping and with some copic markers too. So we're going to try a different way of adding color to the wheel, and I'll be recreating a gorgeous card by Audrey, so thank you so much, Audrey. So we're going to cut our base piece here. We've got some nice striped paper there from Let's Polka, and then we've also got some white cardstock as well. And then we're going to go ahead and cut our little opening. So we're going to line up our ice cream opening into the puzzle piece, and we're going to hold that in place with some tape. Then we'll run it through our die cut machine, and we're going to cut that opening. I'm also going to die cut using the Itsy Bitsy Polka Dot Backdrop die, and I'm going to die cut a piece of polka dot there, but I'm also going to cut it again with the little ice cream opening in the reveal wheel base, so that way we're going to be able to layer polka dots on top, which is going to look really cool. So I'm adding a bunch of glue to that whole piece, and we're just going to layer it for a tone-on-tone look so that we have polka dots, but that it's nice and subtle. I'm trimming down that pink stripe piece there. That's just going to be a little layer on the bottom of my card. So we'll add some adhesive to that and layer that on. And then we're going to die cut our wheel and our wheel base as well. I'm going to take my little brad and put it through my wheel base and then through the main wheel. We'll close those prongs shut, and then we're going to flip the whole thing over and add some little foam squares surrounding the brad on the back. Then I'll remove those liner pieces, exposing the adhesive, and then we're going to take that wheel and flip it over and line up those embossed lines. Again, with our opening there, we're going to shift it up until we don't see the line, and then on the side there, we're going to shift it in until we don't see the embossed line anymore. Now it's in the perfect placement so we can line it up with our base and attach that wheel base to the card base. Now it's time to decorate, so we're going to pop that wheel off, and in this case I'm going to add color using my copic markers. But I don't want the color extending into the wheel this time. I want it to just stay white on the outside of the wheel. So I'm using those embossed lines as a guide as to where to color up until, because if I color up until those embossed lines, then we won't be able to see it in the little notch, so the color will kind of be a surprise as to what color is going to be coming next. So there you can see that. Now I'm going to use some smiley faces from Sweet Friends and give each one of these ice cream flavors a different smiley face. So I've layered my piece with the cutout opening right on top, my card front's right on there, and then I'm going to stamp and then turn the wheel a quarter turn until I see the next flavor of ice cream, and then stamp another style of smiley face in there. And then I'll repeat that 2 more times. So I'll turn it a quarter turn until I see my next flavor of ice cream, and then another smiley face, and then one more smiley face. Then I'm just going to take an R00 marker there, a really light pink marker, and give them all some rosy cheeks because I just think that looks really, really cute. Next, I'll add some glue to the back of my ice cream cone frame, and I'll layer that onto our card front with the opening. And then I'm going to add a little glue to my cherry and layer that there onto the ice cream so that the cherry kind of overlaps that opening that's going to be changing colors. I added a bunch of foam squares to my base and layered my card front on top. Now here I'm stamping a banner from Bannertastic, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment from the set right into that banner, and then I'm just going to use the coordinating dies for that to die cut that whole banner out. I'm also going to use my hearts dies. I'm going to use the tiny little heart from that and die cut a bunch of them out of some chili pepper cardstock. And then I'm going to add a little white gel pen details to them just to kind of make them look 3D. So I'm going to add a little curved line and then a little dot. I'm also going to trim down a piece of black cardstock that's a 1/4 inch thick there, and we're just going to layer that just to kind of bring in the black from the banner, and then we're going to use a little black arrow later to show that the wheel turns. So I'll layer those cute little hearts on, and then we'll also layer the banner on with some foam tape. I'm going to create a card base out of some white cardstock that's going to be 5 1/4 by 4 inches wide. And then I'll add some adhesive to the back of my whole little spinning turning mechanism there, and then we're going to layer that right onto the card base. I'm using the arrow and the reveal wheel die to die cut some black cardstock, and then we'll layer that on there so that the recipient knows that they're supposed to turn the wheel. And then now you can see how fun this is. I love that not only are the colors changing, but the little smiley faces are changing as well. And I was easily able to use my markers to color this super quick. So this was super easy to do, and it's super, super adorable. And then here is a look back at the 3 cards that we created today. I love that there's 3 different methods. We've got kind of our cool watercolory or maybe distressing kind of blended rainbow going on. Then we also used pattern paper, which was nice and quick and easy to create not only a change in color, but a change in pattern in the ice cream cone. And then we also have our idea that we did quickly with Copic markers and then cute little smiley faces where not only the color is changing, but the little stamped smiley face is changing as well. Now here are some amazing cards by the design team, and I just love this one by Lizzie and how she's changing color using that beautiful gradient paper from Really Rainbow. And then here is the card by Nicole that inspired me to make mine today. And she used more of kind of like Neapolitan colors changing in there, and I think that's so gorgeous. Here's the card by Audrey that inspired me to make mine. I love how she added those little sprinkles in there as well, so the sprinkles changed along with the faces and the colors. And then we have the card by Kay that inspired me to make the first card that we made in the video. She used some distress ink and some water splatters to kind of create some changes in the ice cream, which I think is really, really cool. So I cannot wait to see your awesome Sweetest flavor cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!